Hey, Melissa Wick here. Today I want to talk about NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. What kind of circumstances usually call for those? Okay, anytime you're signing one of these or asking someone to sign one of these, it's generally because some big change is on the horizon. Right? So I always ask people, like, what is the outcome you want to create from this? Like, what do you want? How do you want to feel as you're going through it? What thoughts do you want to think that are going to empower you to make the best decisions and show up the way that you want to show up, right? So those are the things I ask people when they're executing any contract, but an NDA is usually a big one. Okay, so for the nuts and bolts of NDAs, I'm going to go through 6 things you're going to want to include in any NDA. Okay, so an NDA is a contract that stops one party from, discussing confidential information. It protects confidential and proprietary information. And so it's something that you would have somebody sign if they were potentially going to like buy your business or invest in your business. They're going to want to see your personal, like the details of your business. They're going to look at your bank accounts. They're going to want to know who your clients are. They're going to want to know about your IP. So, before you open up all of that to them, you're probably going to ask them to sign an NDA. Okay, let's talk about 6 things that you're going to want to include in any NDA. The first thing is you're going to need to define what's confidential, right? You're going to want to kind of spell out what's confidential so that it's narrow enough that it would be enforced. If it's too broad and you haven't really taken steps to keep it confidential, sometimes courts don't enforce NDAs. So you want to be pretty careful about defining the confidential information you're keeping confidential by way of the NDA. The second thing is the purpose of the NDA, right? You want to say why you're entering into it. You want to explain in the NDA itself the purpose of it, like whether that's evaluating a potential business deal, a purchase or a sale or investment, whatever it is. You want to spell that out in the NDA. The third thing is you want to explain who's covered by the NDA, the parties that are involved and who's encompassed and covered by the NDA. Fourth thing you want to talk about is the duration of the NDA, right? So you want to talk about how long it lasts, and generally it lasts a pretty long time because the confidential information, it ideally will continue to be confidential into the future, right? The fifth thing is you want to talk about the obligations of the recipient. So you want to explain what they're obligated to do once they receive this information. So they're obligated to keep it confidential and in what way and take what steps and what measures to protect the information. The sixth thing is any exclusions. There's usually always an exclusion, like if there's a subpoena or something like that, or if the information down the road no longer is confidential, then obviously the person that signed the NDA doesn't have an obligation to keep it confidential anymore. So if something becomes public knowledge that was covered under the NDA, then it's no longer something that the person who signed needs to keep confidential. The seventh thing is a dispute resolution provision. This would just avoid some litigation. So maybe you could put in your NDA that, before someone can sue, you have to go to binding arbitration, or maybe you need to do mediation. Sometimes NDAs are appropriate. Sometimes they are totally not appropriate. It totally depends on the situation. So if you have questions about this, please don't hesitate to give me a call. My name is Melissa Wick. I own Wick Law Offices, a small business law firm here in Columbus, Ohio. Thanks for watching.